It's a rare occasion when a cancelled game like Star Fox 2 somehow manages to find its way onto store shelves. First announced for the Super Nintendo in the mid-90s, it was quietly shelved in favor of developing Star Fox 64 for Nintendo's newest console. Over 2 decades later, Star Fox 2 sees the light of day in a collection of 21 games included in the SNES Classic console. It's a unique situation, but after playing through the game several times, what weighs most heavily on our minds is that while Star Fox 2 puts forth what would have been some very bold ideas for 1996, the series moved on fine without it. The game's map, presented with light RTS elements and a ticking clock mechanic, found its way into Star Fox Command a decade later, and Command executes those elements more effectively. In Star Fox 2, enemy forces are constantly in motion, whether you're in a mission or navigating the map. This strategic angle initially adds more tension than any other Star Fox game, but aside from the hardest difficulty setting, its bark is meaner than its bite. Being able to freely roam the map and select your destination certainly opens up more possibilities, but again, several other games in the series have done a better job with this. Star Fox 64 not only features multiple branching paths, but requires players to discover and complete special conditions to find those alternate routes. Figuring out these conditions along with other dangling carrots does a lot to contribute to the N64 game's high sense of replay value. While you can come back for seconds in Star Fox 2, the only incentives are to tackle the game on a harder difficulty or to try to earn a better overall score. To be fair, the harder difficulties are decent enough to shake things up. The normal mode is a breeze, and it's simply too short and easy, whereas the 2 harder settings are meatier with extra challenges and additional levels to tackle. The levels themselves come in 2 varieties: straightforward space battles and wide-range base missions. Space battles can end in a flash and tend to lack any substance. Their presentation doesn't measure up either, regardless of whether you tackle these dogfights in the first-person cockpit view or switch to the third-person ship view. Gone are the epic space sequences that are a hallmark of the original Star Fox. The problems here are numerous. The visuals achieved by combining the bland 2D backgrounds with the 3D models of the enemy spacecraft come off looking cheap. The controls during these sequences are very rough, making it a constant struggle to accomplish your task. It's all just a mess, and it's a huge drop from its predecessor. Adding to the frustration of these missions is the fact that you can only change your view from the pause menu, rather than simply pressing a dedicated button as in the original game. One area that could have served as a bright spot in Star Fox 2 are the new base missions. Instead of tackling a corridor-style level like in the original Star Fox, planetary missions are presented more like the all-range missions of Star Fox 64 and its successors. Again, back in 1996, this probably would have turned heads, but in 2017, these maps feel very empty and lack any real sense of scale. In these missions, you can fly your ship around a 3D map or transform into a new ground-based vehicle, though the latter's handling feels better suited to the task, as maneuvering in the air feels very sluggish. It's clear the technology is struggling to realize the vision here, as the game suffers for its shortcomings. Finally, once you enter a base or the interior of a carrier, the game narrows to a series of corridors connected by the occasional open room with a handful of enemies. It's dull and repetitive because it's essentially taking the most remedial sections of the original game and trying to flesh them out enough to form an entire level. While these sections are no longer on rails in Star Fox 2, there's virtually no incentive to explore or deviate from the straightforward paths to boss encounters. Star Fox 2 also lacks the trademark bosses found in the original game, let alone the evolution of them in subsequent entries. Many missions feature repetitive stationary bosses, while others simply task you with wiping out grunts and moving on. Even the showdowns with members of Star Wolf are frustrating and fail to excite. Also, Star Fox 2's poor representation of a certain iconic boss is a huge letdown. While the visuals are a small step up from its predecessor, there are some moments of serious frame chug, especially when it comes to the boss encounters. Many of the planetary missions' exterior maps look good, but all of the interior sections are dull. The soundtrack is completely forgettable, failing to even approach some of the stellar tracks found in the original game. Star Fox 2 has some good ideas for its time. The free-roaming missions, the continuous threat from advancing enemy forces, and the ever-changing conditions make for a very tense experience that's drastically different from its predecessor. However, the woefully underwhelming gameplay and the painfully obvious limitations of the Super Nintendo hardware prevent Star Fox 2 from realizing its full potential. At least now we know that Nintendo made the right call in withholding its release in favor of a new Star Fox for the Nintendo 64. Easy Allies reviews are made possible by generous viewers just like you. If you like what you see, check out patreon.com/easyallies to see our other videos, and consider becoming a patron to help us make more.